Have you ever noticed how one small change, maybe a new technology that you take on or something else in your life, one small change can have a way of almost creating this chain reaction of other changes that you're compelled to make? So much so that this little change managed to change a whole lot about your life and your way of thinking. Well, if so, you were experiencing what's by some called the Diderot Effect. And it's a real thing. In 1772, Denis Diderot wrote about how receiving a beautiful new robe made everything else in his home feel kind of wrong or not as fancy, not as nice. And it led him to get on this obsession with trying to replace everything in his house. And he fell into a ton of debt and he lost the simplicity in his life that he once valued. But it all began with one really nice robe. Now, it might seem a little bit extreme. I can't imagine myself buying a robe that prompts me to want to throw out all my furniture and my clothing and everything else in my house and start over from scratch. That seems a little bit extreme. I guess it happened for him. But this does happen for all of us in more subtle ways, and it does impact our problem-solving skills, our treasure-seeking skills, our decision-making skills, our truth-seeking skills, all of those kinds of things. So what I have for you, as I always do, is I've identified and narrowed it down to just 5 simple things that you can try and practice to try to respond to the Diderot effect when it makes its way into your life. So let's go ahead and dive in with them. Have them jotted down right here. First one is, don't let one new tool, idea, or method influence or shift your whole direction. So easier said than done, right? But it is helpful to sometimes just acknowledge, okay, this new thing is coming in. It has a chance to really shift things, so I'm going to pay attention to it. I'm going to pay attention to how it impacts my thinking, and I'm going to sort of document it, make note of it, and I want to be in the driver's seat. I want to be able to make some decisions about how this does or doesn't work. Now, of course, in a technologically rich world, we find ourselves with this happening all the time. How could a simple little rectangular item, now known as a cell phone, transform how a person spends their day and their thoughts and their time so much? It's kind of incredible. And that's a whole nother scale that goes far beyond what Diderot would have expected or imagined in the 1700s, I'm sure. The complexity of living in this technology immersive world or being immersed in this technology rich world. But we can still at least acknowledge that one small thing can kind of draw us in, and we can pay attention to it and acknowledge that these new items come and they can influence us. The second one, before changing something, ask if it serves your goal, enhancement. Maybe it's more just a comfort decision, I guess is what I'm thinking. And is it actually helping you get to where you want to go, be who you want to be, accomplish what you want to accomplish? Is it amplify the values that are important to you? I know this might seem extreme. Most of the people watching this video don't have a lot of experience with the Amish, but the Amish, many people think that they're anti-technology. And in my research over the years, I've come to believe that Amish are actually not anti-technology. They're just pro-community. They have this value for their faith and their community and their family, and they don't want items to come in that unexpectedly or unintentionally undermine or take away from that core focus on personal relationships and family and community. And so that's a lesson for all of us to take. Not that we have to become Amish, but we can acknowledge the idea of how will this serve my goals, my values, what I hold most dear, and think about the models and the practices. These don't have to be massive things. They could also be small things that we add. But just be willing to ask the question and start to have an honest conversation with yourself and those around you about it. The third one is, if you are doing actual treasure hunting or puzzle solving, but this applies to other kinds of problem solving or projects that you're trying to complete, whether whatever it be, but be careful not to over upgrade. So more gear and more complexity does not always mean better results. And I've run into that myself in the technology world, where one who probably has enough professional grade microphones for 3 lifetimes, and yet does having all those microphones enhance the quality of a video that I'm creating like this? No, I have one fine microphone, and that's probably all I need. And if I upgraded to something better than this, would it really make a significant difference? I'm pretty confident the answer is no. So be careful and focus upon your craft, and focus upon those mental skills and habits, and really refine those and prioritize those over just the next new piece of software or gadget or tool that you think is going to help you solve your problems. Doesn't mean that you don't use those, you don't experiment with them, but just be careful not to over upgrade. And it's okay. If you are trying to solve a particular problem, you are on a treasure hunt, metaphorical or literal, every change that you make should serve your quest and not distract from it. I've done a ton of research actually in organizations too, and it's fascinating how many times people adopt new practices without realizing how much they can actually change their core mission and their core reason for operating in subtle ways, but over time it can grow. And that can happen even in our simple decisions and the problems we're trying to solve in our lives. So that's what I have for you in this video. I hope you find it interesting. I wish you the best as you go about avoiding succumbing to the negative sides of the Diderot effect.